Bridge Caverns near San Antonio, Texas, and we are by far at the lowest depth of the cavern, roughly more than 100 feet below the surface. There's a little Disney castle over there. This is the Sherwood Forest, and we are 180 feet below the surface. We are near the Hall of the Mountain King, which is the biggest room, and, well, this is the view. We have just over there the Castle of the White Giants, the bomb burst over there, and a huge column. This room right here. If you want to check this out for yourself, look up Natural Bridge Caverns. There's a pool. Alright, I was wrong. The last room we were in was the second biggest room. Down there is Grendel's Canyon, the deepest point of the cavern, which we're not going down. Over here is the biggest room in the cavern, the Hall of the Mountain King.
This for sure, as our formations began to grow. The formations are much stronger than our ceiling. Never trust soda straws because one touch of those, they will definitely break off. Now the ceiling will be about 55 feet thick. Safe. Now, do you guys have any questions before we continue?
Our first stop on our tour was no other than the Menger Hotel, which is home to lots of peculiar hauntings from very dark and gruesome stories. Our first ghost story was the murder of a woman named Sally White, who was murdered by her husband on the front steps of the Menger. Teddy Roosevelt's spirit is also said to haunt this place. When he was president, he stumbled upon the bar here at the Menger, searching for people to join the Roughheads. Our next stop is the Emily Morgan, the third most haunted hotel in the world.
Right behind us, we have, again, one of my favorite stops on this tour, mainly because I didn't even really know the full extent of this place's history before I started this job last year. So, right behind me, we have the Emily Morgan Hotel. This is, again, the third most haunted hotel in the entire world. The first being the Stanley Hotel in Colorado. The second, it's in New Orleans. The name escapes me at the moment, but this place is still very, very high on the list. Even I was pretty surprised to find that out as a local. Now, we can't really see it from where we're sitting right here, or at least I can. I have really bad eyesight, but on the sides of this building, most notably around the windows, they have these gargoyles that are made out of terracotta. Now, each of the gargoyles on this building actually represents a different illness or ailment. That's because when this building was first constructed back in the year 1924, this place served as what was called the San Antonio Medical Arts Center. It was essentially a really big hospital where they did a little bit of everything. The first floor here served as where they kept the doctor's offices, while the floors above it served as surgical wards and waiting rooms. They even had a psych ward at the very top, which was notorious for mistreating its patients. You can imagine the kind of stuff that goes on up there to this day. Now, let me tell you all about the basement level of this building. Now, back in those days, the basement of this place served as an in-house morgue for the hospital. This is where they
just like the Crescent.
They did embalmings, they did cremations down there. Now, this morgue was not only used by this specific hospital here, but at one point, this morgue was actually used by the entire city of San Antonio, which is very concerning because this place served as a medical center from 1924 to 1976. It was a corporate office building for like a year or two before it eventually became the hotel that we see right here behind us. Now, obviously, 1976 is not yesterday, but it's still just kind of weird to think that just a few decades ago, this place was bustling with, dead bodies coming from all over the city. They were coming in and out of this place. Just kind of weird to think about. Definitely adds to the creepiness factor of this building for me. So, as far as anecdotal accounts of people that I've talked to who have stayed here at the Emily Morgan, one of the most wild stories I've heard is that some folks, they'll be hanging out in their hotel rooms here. They'll be, just hanging out for a couple of hours, and they'll go to leave their rooms. Like, they'll go up to the door, they'll open the door, go out to the hallway of the hotel. Now, some of these people, they'll open the door and they'll look out into the hotel hallway, and sometimes they'll see like nurses walking around pushing gurneys, or they'll see doctors with clipboards. Some of them even claim to smell that very like chemically hospital smell still lingering in the air, like they're being transported back to this to the 20s or something when this place still did medical stuff. And a lot of these folks, they'll shut their door immediately, like absolutely terrified, and they'll open their door again just a moment later to see just an empty hotel hallway, really making them question their sanity. Now, guests staying up on the 12th floor of this building, pretty close to the top, the biggest complaint that the staff will get from people staying at this floor is that the water faucets up in those restrooms, they tend to just turn on by themselves. People will be trying to get sleep in the middle of the night, and they'll wake up to the sound of like heavy rushing water. And when they get up to, go turn it off, it shuts off before they can even get to the bathroom door. Now, I mentioned on the way here that this is one of the tallest buildings on the street here. And at one point, the Emily Morgan was actually one of the first skyscrapers that we ever built here in San Antonio. This place stands at a whopping 13 stories high, which is a very poor design.
Comment down below if you see something.
13 is a very unlucky number in many different cultures. I'm sure most of y'all know that. Now, the hotel, they seem to know that too, because like a lot of other hotels, they have their elevator labeled to where it just skips the 13th floor. It's like 11, 12, 14, just trying not to freak people out, I'm sure. Now, besides being labeled weird, these elevators in this hotel, much like the faucets I talked about earlier, they also tend to kind of have a mind of their own. People that use these elevators, whether it be guests or staff here, they report that, most of the time these elevators at this hotel will take you to the right floor, but then a lot of the time they'll take you to the wrong floor. They tend to get stuck a lot. There's actually another tour guide who does this same tour as me, a coworker of mine. He has this like gnarly story about how his sister was on vacation here at the Emily Morgan for a couple of days, and she ended up getting stuck in the elevator for about an hour, pretty close to the basement level. I can't imagine how stressful that must have been. And apparently she tried using the phone inside of the elevator because her cell phone was dead or something, but it wasn't working at first. So again, I can't imagine how stressful that must have been. Like, oh man. But when these elevator phones do decide to work in rare situations, one of the weirdest things that the elevator phones at this hotel like to do is they like to call the front desk when nobody is inside of the elevator. Some of these employees, they'll be sitting up at the front all day long, waiting by the phone. Sometimes they'll get these weird phone calls coming from the elevator, and they'll pick it up, and sometimes they'll hear like shallow static coming over the other end of the line, or even like heavy breathing sometimes. Probably the spirits just reminding the staff that they are indeed still here and not going anywhere anytime soon. Now, ghost fanatics, paranormal investigators, whatever y'all want to call them, there are some people out there who will spend like hundreds, sometimes even thousands of dollars traveling the country, traveling the world, in search of these haunted locations, just trying to have some kind of tangible evidence or experience with the spirit, whether it comes in the form of a photo of an orb, or maybe like a weird audio recording of somebody whispering, something lame like that. But if you don't want to go through all that trouble, alternatively, you can come to a place like the Emily Morgan, like very notoriously haunted hotel. I guarantee you that if you were to stay here a couple of days and just sit patiently, those spirits would definitely come to you. It's just a matter of time. Now, I actually have some people that book this tour who, maybe they're the kinds of people who don't research their hotels before they book them. But sometimes I'll have these tours, and we'll be hanging out at the Menger Hotel like we were earlier today. And I'll tell everybody, all right, we're going to head over to the Emily Morgan now. It's like the most haunted hotel in the city. And sometimes you'll see, people's faces change. We're staying there. Are we going to be okay? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm about to tell you a lot of stuff that's going to ruin your night. And we'll come over here. I'll tell them all the history. I'll tell them about all the hauntings of this place. And some of these folks, they'll be like, oh, okay, so that's why stuff's been flying off of our shelves, or that's why I get a migraine every single time I enter my room, or that's why I feel so ugly in the lobby here. Now, I can vouch for a couple of those things. Although I've been here in San Antonio, again, like all 22 years of my life, I've never actually stayed here at the Emily Morgan overnight. However, when I was first training for this job last summer, I spent like a few hours just kind of hanging out in the lobby of this place, just for, you know, research purposes, just to kind of get a feel for the building. And after that day, I left this place feeling very exhausted. That's like the best way that I can put it. I left this place feeling like I had just ran a marathon or something. I was very physically, mentally drained. I went home and I took a very long nap. This building just kind of tends to do that to people. But, you know, you don't have to take my word for it, because right now we are going to cross the street. I'm going to show you all some of the exterior at this place that I think is pretty neat. And then a fun little surprise, I'm actually going to give you all the opportunity to explore the hotel lobby of the Emily Morgan and kind of get a feel for the place. I like to see people's reactions. So right now we're going to cross and just go and see what happens. I don't even want to think about what that one's going through. I had a kid on one of these tours last month. He looked up at this guy and said, oh, he probably has diarrhea or something. It's like punching his stomach. It was very uncomfortable. Now, fun fact about this gargoyle, I really don't like it, and I talk about how I don't like it every single night that I'm out here. And the hotel staff, they actually have a printed out photo of this gargoyle out in the front here, and I am like 100% convinced that the hotel, they put that picture out there specifically for me, because they know that it freaks me out. So I call it the Eli gargoyle. I'll show you all in a little bit. Up here, we have the universal sign for medicine, the two intertwining snakes right there, back from its days of being a medical center. We even have a nurse's face that's etched right there underneath that window. Very, very nice architecture, very like old Gothic inspired. We don't have any other buildings down here in San Antonio that look anything like this. Very, very unique. And in the lobby here, we have a portrait of an Alamo defender that we talked about earlier today. That is Mr. James Bowie, played a crucial role in the Battle of the Alamo. He has a very ghastly look to him. I'd be pretty freaked out to see him walking around here. But on that note, guys, I am now going to give you all the opportunity to explore the hotel lobby of this place. I'll give you all like 3 minutes or so to just kind of walk around, take some photos, get a feel for this place. Right through these doors over here. Excuse me. Right through here.
I'll need like 5.
I will be waiting right outside for y'all. I am not trying to bring anything back out with me. I'll leave that to y'all.
I think this is where the morgue is at, they say. How about we go over to where the fireplace is of Mom, I'm gonna head over to the fireplace of James Bowie. By the way, if you see anything, tell me in the comments section. Just look really hard. Some things may be completely normal, and so forth. Oh, it's okay. Just a little flash of the camera. No, it just sort of jolted the phone a bit.
Take pictures, too.
I am taking pictures.
Another minute or so, and then you go back out.
So we said something about a morgue being down here in the basement. And I see a few rifles and guns there. Yeah. Hard to believe that this is the third most haunted building, hotel in the world.
Oh yeah, there's the Eli gargoyle I was telling you all about. I hate that thing. I swear it didn't show up before I started this job. Just for you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's the photo right there.
That's your entry into the building, or our entry into the building, and they have to put you on the outside.
Just so.
Can I get a picture of that?
Alright, that's everybody. Alright guys, so again, if y'all didn't see the gargoyles right there, there's also some photos of this place back in the 20s when it was first opened up. Now, fun fact, Miss Emily Morgan, the person that this hotel is named after, she was actually a mulatto slave woman that was owned by Captain James Morgan. He was one of the early settlers of the Alamo. Now, to be frank, Emily Morgan, apparently she was
That's just my finger.
attractive that she was able to distract General Santa Anna during the Battle of San Jacinto of the Texans against the Mexican army. She was able to distract Santa Anna long enough that the Texans were able to get a one-up during that battle, and they ended up winning the whole fight. So it's an icon. Now, let me tell you all a little bit about this next place that we're going to head to right now. So I've been doing these tours for a year now, and this next place that we're going to go to, it's a place that I still haven't really gotten used to. Like every single time that I come to this next location, I feel like I'm in real life Ghost Adventures or something. Like no matter how many people I have with me, no matter what night that we go on, something weird always seems to happen at this location. It's like something is telling us to get out or something, like something doesn't want me to be there. We are going to head over to this next place with an open mind. We are going to head on to yet another hotel in the downtown San Antonio area. This one is named after an Alamo defender that we talked about a little bit earlier. We are going to head over to the Crockett Hotel, named after, of course, Mr. Davy Crockett. If y'all follow me, right?
So as you can see, downtown San Antonio is a little bit of a messy city. I'm gonna say that now, since I'm not from here. We've been here a few times. I've been here 3 times in my life. And this is on the 3rd time that I come to San Antonio. We are here on the City Ghost Tour. So, yeah, what better time to go on a ghost tour than the 3rd time you visited here? Yeah, there are a lot of tall buildings. We were up the Tower of the Americas earlier. I have a video about that 2 years earlier as well. And up next, we are heading to the Crockett Hotel, like our tour guide Eli said. Look at all those tall hotels over there. The Marriott's, the shops at River Center, the AMC Theater, the Grand Hyatt Hotel, and then the eerie lights of the top of the Emily Morgan. I'm just gonna get a quick photo of that. Oh, and I'm falling behind. Jeez. We're coming, we're coming. Alright, I'm not going to videotape this next part because I know you guys are tired of hearing all the boring history, but I find it very interesting. Boy, I was completely wrong not to film this next part. There were a lot of interesting stories coming from the Crockett. This wasn't about the history behind the hotel. This is about the hauntings that our tour guide has witnessed here. A few months before our tour, there was a young girl that was here, and at one point she was screaming at the top of her lungs because she said something grabbed her ankle, and there was nothing there. And 2 weeks prior to our ghost tour, tour guide Eli was starting to get very tired on one of his tours at 9 p.m. He started grabbing onto the fences to sort of keep himself awake, keep himself standing, when he started noticing some blotches, red blotches on his arm. Now, there were no mosquitoes nearby. Shortly after they left the Crockett, all those blotches went away. Here's the next video I recorded.
Somebody's camera.
So this is the pool area of the Crockett Hotel. What was that? Was that a bug that just went by, or was that an orb? I just saw an orb. I just barely start this video. This is the swimming pool of the Crockett Hotel, and it's probably the most active place around here. And right as I start recording, something flies by the screen. Oh my goodness. That might have been a bug. It was moving in the way of a bug, but I don't see a bug now. Wait, I see something else. I see another little ball of light in the bottom right corner. It's gone. This is the Crockett Hotel. Those two lights are on in there. They might think it's maintenance. There's another orb. That might just be the camera. That might be the camera. Alright. I'm still taking a video. I think that just might be the camera with the orbs.
Of the Crockett Hotel. Personally, I did as soon as we got here. We're going to head over to actually our final location of the night.
If you see anything,
Definitely saved the best for y'all. Best for last. We're
yeah,
going to
I did.
head on over right now to a final hotel of the evening.
This is the Gunter Hotel. Eli, our tour guide, said there had been lots of unsolved murders here back in the 1960s. Yes, in fact, the Gunter Hotel has witnessed a very gruesome murder, and yet it can't tell us who the victim was. In February of 1965, a man walked into the Gunter Hotel and checked in a room under the name of Albert Knox. What room did he check in? Specifically, room 636. Nobody knows why. Nobody knows what it means. Later that night, people on the streets noticed Albert Knox walk out of the hotel with a blondie in his arms. They looked sort of drunk and they were going out somewhere. Later they came back. Then the next morning, a housemaid was going into the room 636 to clean it when she walked into a very gruesome sight. When she walked into the room, there was blood splattered all over the room. And Albert Knox was sitting there, possibly asleep, and that's when he noticed that the maid was screaming at the top of her lungs. He put his finger to his mouth, trying to shush her, but she just kept on screaming, and she ran out of the room. After 40 minutes of calming down, she finally managed to tell the manager what she saw, and they tried to track down this Albert Knox, but he had already left the building. A few days later, the police managed to track down who Albert Knox was. He was actually a 37-year-old man named Walter Eimrich. The police also managed to track down where Eimrich retreated to. He headed to the St. Anthony Hotel just down the street from the Gunter. He tried to check into room 636 under the name of Robert Ashley, but the person at the desk said that room was occupied, and the best they could give him was room 536. When the police found his room, he had killed himself. Nobody will ever know who the victim was because they never found a body. Nobody will ever know who Walter Eimrich killed and why he did it. But one thing's for sure, this hotel remains a very haunted piece of San Antonio. And that's where our ghost tour ended. So I hope you all enjoyed this little World of Wonder ghost mystery. Yeah, it was a bit longer than the other ones that I've done, but that's not all that there is. A few weeks earlier, I recorded a video at the Crockett Hotel in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and I will be uploading that video pretty soon. So stay tuned for that.